Last week I was in London and I had the opportunity to speak to students about the future of the relationship between the United Kingdom and the European Union. And after I finished the speech, as always, the floor was open to the students and the audience, and the very first question that came was not about trade, it was not about financial services, it was not about security, as important as these topics are. It was, of course, about citizens' rights. And the same question came back time and again with different personal twists. One came from a young man who came from Benelux, living in the UK, who was, of course, worried about his future. Another came from a British lady who has an Italian husband, who was worried about his status, what's going to happen with him. And while the questions may have been subtle different, the reasons for asking them were always the same. People want certainty about their lives and their future, and certainty about the future of their loved ones. And I'm speaking here about 3.5 million citizens in the UK who came from European Union member states, and round about 1 million British people living elsewhere in the European Union.
Because there are still concerns, dear colleagues, concerns that need to be addressed, and if they are not addressed now, before the end of the month, they will be on the table before the end of the year. I cannot imagine that the European Parliament will agree, for example, on the FTA, without solving the problem and the concerns of the EU citizens and UK citizens, including the freedom of movement. And these concerns are they have already been mentioned by my two colleagues. First of all, the automatic recognition of citizens' rights. There is a Tory government, and the Tory government is always saying we want less bureaucracy. Well, okay, let's make less bureaucracy. And the best way to do it is an automatic recognition. So then you don't need all this. The second is a physical document. Why it's necessary? Now the UK authorities are telling us, yeah, but it's not necessary, they have a mail. But can you imagine a woman goes to his parents on the continent, comes back, and on the border, where is your mail? I don't have my mail. My battery is, there is nothing, no energy anymore in my battery. Or she deleted maybe the mail, so she cannot enter the UK. So we need a physical document. In a normal world, you have a document. So that's the second concern. And the third concern is the independent monitoring authority. My proposal is simple. Why not putting a few representatives of the 3 million organisation in the independent monitoring authority? Then we are sure that both sides are there. So then that solves the problem.
I have to say very clearly that the ending of free movement was a massive factor in the British public's decision to leave the EU. It was one of the biggest driving forces. And yet there appears to be, within this Parliament today, political myopia towards that. You're actually trying to tell Britain that we shouldn't have an application process. It should have just been declaratory. We shouldn't dare to ask for proof in order to back up statements in an application. The British people expect the British government to end free movement and to do it in a way which is effective, not merely nominal. And the sooner that this Parliament wakes up to that, the sooner we will actually get the right sort of dialogue. Yeah.